All right, today we're going to dissect the mind of a murderer. But here's the twist. Our evidence? It's not from some police report. Nope, it's from the pages of one of the most intense psychological thrillers ever written, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. So, let's start with the question that kicks this whole thing off, the one that drove a desperate student to pick up an axe. It's really the philosophical bomb at the heart of the story. Can a crime, a terrible crime, ever actually be a moral act? So, to really get why this happened, we have to back up. Before the crime, there was the idea. So let's do it. Let's get right inside the head of our main guy, Rodion Raskolnikov. Okay, so picture this. We're in 19th century St. Petersburg. Raskolnikov, he's a brilliant former student, super smart, but he's also dirt poor. I mean, he's living in this tiny, coffin-like room. He's totally cut off from everyone, and in that kind of suffocating isolation, his mind, it starts cooking up something really radical and really, really dangerous. And this is it. This is his big theory. He basically believes humanity is split into two types of people. You've got the ordinary folks, the ones who just follow the rules, and then you've got the extraordinary. Think of the Napoleons of the world. Raskolnikov argues that these rare individuals have, like, an inner right to break the rules, even to step over blood, if it's for some greater purpose. And this is so important to understand. The crime? It's not really about the money. Not at all. For Raskolnikov, this is a test. It's an experiment. He needs to prove to himself that he is one of those extraordinary men, and the only way to prove it is to do the unthinkable. He has to transgress. All right, so that's the fancy theory. Now let's see what happens when it smashes headfirst into a brutal, messy, and absolutely terrifying reality. On paper, the plan seems simple enough. His target is this old pawnbroker, a woman he basically sees as a louse, a parasite. The weapon? Just a stolen axe. Crude, but it'll do the job. But here's where his cold, intellectual plan just shatters. Right after he kills the pawnbroker, her sister, this gentle, completely innocent woman named Lizaveta, walks in. And in a total panic, he kills her too. Just like that, his one planned murder turns into a chaotic, bloody double homicide. And right here, we see the first huge crack in his theory. He expected to feel powerful, right? Liberated, like Napoleon on the battlefield. But instead, he's just hit by this overwhelming wave of pure animal terror. He gets physically sick. It's like his body is screaming, "No!" completely rejecting what his mind had convinced him was okay. And his mind just immediately starts to collapse in on itself. That first thought isn't some grand justification, it's just raw paranoia. He becomes completely obsessed. He's replaying every single second of the crime, over and over, just searching for that one tiny mistake that he's sure is going to be his downfall. Yeah, that whole grand theory about changing the world, it's gone. Poof. It's replaced by this frantic obsession over a single drop of blood, or maybe a frayed cuff on his pants. The great philosopher has turned into a terrified animal, completely trapped by the smallest details. You see, the punishment starts way before any prison sentence. It's a total psychological siege. He literally faints when the crime is brought up in conversation. He's having these awful, feverish nightmares. Everywhere he looks, it feels like the walls are closing in, like everyone knows. It's his own conscience that's setting all the traps. So at this point, Raskolnikov is basically caught in a tug of war. There are these two incredibly powerful forces, two people who are gonna decide his fate. One of them is coming for his mind, and the other is coming for his soul. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Porfiry. He's the brilliant detective, all about cold logic and the power of the state. And on the other side, there's Sonia. She's a young woman forced into prostitution to feed her family, but she represents pure faith, empathy. He's all intellect. She's all spirit. And Porfiry's method is just wow. It's masterful. He never accuses Raskolnikov directly. Instead, he pulls him into these long, winding, philosophical conversations. He even brings up Raskolnikov's own article about the extraordinary man. See, he doesn't need fingerprints or evidence. He's playing a brilliant psychological game of cat and mouse. He's just waiting for Raskolnikov's own guilt to do the work for him. And then you have Sonya's approach. It is the polar opposite of Porfiry's logic. She tells him the only way out, the only way to heal, isn't to think his way out of it. Nope. He has to publicly humble himself, embrace his suffering, and reconnect with, well, with everyone. It's a path of spiritual surrender, not some kind of intellectual win. So you've got this immense pressure from both sides, right? The intellectual vice grip from Porfiry and this deep spiritual pull from Sonya. The weight of it all just becomes unbearable. Something's got to give. And in the end, the theory just fails. Miserably. He's not Napoleon. He finds out he can't just switch off his own conscience, his empathy, his basic humanity. So he breaks. He confesses. First to Sonya, the one person he trusts, and then, following her advice, he walks right into the police station. From there, the legal stuff happens fast. The court is just baffled. They don't get his motive at all. They can't wrap their heads around his philosophical reasons. He gets sentenced to hard labor, and then, in this just incredible act of love and compassion, Sonya follows him. She goes with him into the brutal exile of Siberia.
8 years. That's the official sentence. A hard, concrete number for a crime that started as a floating, abstract idea in a man's head.
But that brings us to the real final question, doesn't it? What was the true punishment? Was it the 8 years of hard labor in Siberia? Or was it the weeks of fever and paranoia and mental torture that started the instant he picked up that axe? What the novel really gets at is that the true prison, it was never made of stone. It was the one he built inside his own mind.